Halloween is taking place in the community of Mill Valley in 1968. Ramon, a young man, enters the city via car. Stella Nichols, a local horror enthusiast, is contacted by Chuck Steinberg and Augie Hildebrandt to pull a practical joke on Tommy Milner, the school bully. A neighborhood scarecrow named Harold is being attacked by the jock and his friends as they hurl beer bottles at him. Tommy swings his bat at Harold as well. While Tommy is out with Chuck's sister Ruthie and his friends, Chuck fishes excrement out of the toilet and gathers with his friends to throw it, along with eggs and toilet paper, at Tommy's car. Tommy ultimately rear-ends a fence with his automobile. The children flee to a drive-in theater and hide in Ramon's car as he and his companions pursue them. They are discovered by the bullies, who then warn everyone, including Ramon, to leave. Security eventually forces them out of the building, but not before Tommy teases Stella about her mother abandoning her and her father. Stella takes a breath outside after the jerks leave before requesting Ramon to join her and the guys inside. The four travel to the residence of Sarah Bellows, a character from an antiquated fable about a crazy woman who is accused of poisoning a number of neighborhood youngsters. Ramon picks the door locks before the kids come in. Chuck tries to frighten Augie, but he finds himself hiding in a closet, where he witnesses the old room being renovated and what seems to be an elderly woman sitting by the bed. Chuck is startled when Augie unlocks the door, and everything appears to be dated once more. Stella and Ramon, meantime, discover Sarah's old collection of spooky tales. Then Tommy and his men capture them down there. Ruth requests that Tommy let them out, but he also locks her inside. They attempt to escape, but an unidentified force frees them. When they step outside, they discover that Tommy had scribbled wetback on Ramon's car. Ramon needs to take it to the shop but has nowhere to go because he was living in his car. Stella extends an invitation to him to visit and stay in the basement. Tommy is told by his mother to deliver eggs to the neighbors after he crashes his car on the way home. He encounters Harold while on his way and teases him once more. Stella is reading from Sarah's book when she notices the beginning of the Harold story. She reads it and sees that Tommy is mentioned. He eventually finds himself making a circle after realizing Harold is no longer in his sights. Tommy quickly realizes Harold is following him. He stumbles onto a rake and attempts to halt Harold with it, but the scarecrow steals it and impales Tommy. Tommy tries to flee, but as he does, straw begins to suffuse his body. Ramon brings his automobile to the mechanic in the morning, but Chief Turner interrogates him about his arrival in town. Turner confronts Tommy about the alleged altercation he had with him after reading what Tommy had written. Turner makes the implication that he will look into Ramon after hearing him reveal his last name is Rodriguez. Roy, Stella's dad, notes that Tommy is absent. Ramon and her proceed to look into it, and when they do, they discover what seems to be Harold dressed as Tommy. Stella believes Tommy to be the protagonist of the novel she just read. To stop things from going any further, she makes the decision to bring the book back to the Bellows residence. Ramon discovers Sarah's book back on Stella's bookcase when Stella and Ramon get home. Then, a brand new tale called The Big Toe starts to emerge. This one includes the name Augie, has him eating stew that has an appendage in it, and has an unidentified voice asking, "Who took my TOE?" When Augie ignores Stella's warning and eats the stew, the Big Toe woman begins to pursue him. Augie tries to hide beneath his bed in his room, but just as he feels secure, Big Toe pulls him under and shows him her horrifying face before forcing him to vanish. When Stella and Ramon arrive too late, they are able to confirm their worries by observing the claw marks under Augie's bed. Chuck and Ruth are informed by Stella that Augie has left and that the book is to blame. Chuck advises they report it to the police, but Ramon is reluctant to cooperate because doing so could lead them to believe he was responsible for Tommy's disappearance as well as Augie's, especially because a search party is now looking for the latter. The three makes an attempt to burn the book, but it fails. The pals visit the Mill Valley Gazette to look up any previously unpublished details on Sarah. They come across articles regarding Lulu Baptiste, a former Bellows family employee who was fired after Sarah hanged herself. It was rumored that Lulu had been teaching Sarah black magic. The Red Spot, a new story that the book begins to write, follows. This one concerns Ruthie, who was entrapped in the Bellows home when she was bitten by a spider. She is about to play Bye Bye Birdie on stage when the bite from the spider on her face starts to get worse. She hears a voice calling her name as she enters the bathroom to check on it. Ruth then has a spider leg poking out of her cheek, followed by a swarm of spiders biting her. In time to capture Ruth and spray her with water to ward off the spiders, Stella, Chuck, and Ramon dash to the school. She is wailing for the spiders to leave while being bitten all over. Later, she is brought to the hospital. In an effort to correct what has been happening, the friends track down Lulu, who is now elderly and blind, to find out what transpired between her and Sarah. Although she claims that no magic was used, Lulu is overcome by the book's presence. The group then goes to a hospital where they believe to find records pertaining to the Bellows family. Chuck describes having a dream about a pale woman informing him this is an evil place, as she stood in a crimson chamber. Run as fast as you can. The kids enter covertly and start looking for any documents they can locate. Old recordings of Sarah being electrocuted by her brother Ephraim are found in a chamber by Stella and Ramon. They hear Sarah's voice, who turns out to be innocent and never poisoned the kids. Instead, her family was to blame for tainting the water supply, and they tortured and falsely accused Sarah in order to hide their own secrets. She then seems to be reciting the newly created story called The Dream. Chuck is discovered by orderlies after sneaking in, and the alarm sounds, turning everything crimson. He then encounters the pale lady, who is horrifyingly obese and wears a frightful grin. No matter where Chuck runs, the pale lady pursues him until he can no longer flee and she swallows him whole. When Stella and Ramon learn of his disappearance too late, the hospital forces them to leave. From the police station, Stella phones her father. Because of the book, she believes she will pass away, and she warns him not to assume that she is escaping. Roy advises her not to blame herself for her mother's departure. Then Turner questions Stella and Ramon about their pals' disappearances. Turner finds it hard to believe their explanation that it's due to the book, despite their best efforts. He also mentions that Ramon avoided the draft and that Morales is his genuine last name. Ramon tells that his brother was drafted to Vietnam and was killed there, so he escaped after learning he was going to be selected. The two are then placed in adjacent cells. The Jangly Man, a terrifying creature, soon makes an appearance as the following chapter is being written. Turner's neck is broken, and he is thrown into Stella's cell. Ramon's name appeared in the book, and he is aware of the Jangly Man thanks to an ancient tale his father told him. She retrieves the keys, but the Jangly Man tries to capture Ramon. After Stella releases them from their cells, they both realize they need to quickly get to the Bellows residence to put an end to this. As they steal Turner's automobile, Jangly Man pursues them, but Ramon manages to lose him by wrecking the vehicle and trapping Jangly Man to a rail. As Jangly Man pursues Ramon, Stella and Ramon flee to the Bellows residence, where they become separated. Stella is dragged into another chamber by the Bellows family spirits. Stella runs upon Sarah's ghost, who is preparing to imprison her in her own tale. Stella, however, hears Ramon's voice encouraging her to be honest with Sarah. Stella confronts the ghost and asserts that even though she is aware that her relatives murdered the kids and falsely accused her by haunting and stealing her companions, she is growing to be every bit as evil as they were. Sarah is assured by Stella that she will be completely honest with her. Stella is given a quill by Sarah, who instructs her to write her story in her own blood. Sarah's ghost sobs as she passes over while Stella pens the truth. The terror seems to end as the Jangly Man falls. Ramon and Stella sprint to embrace one another. Later, Ramon agrees to be enlisted into the Vietnam War. Stella hands him a note and makes a vow to write to him before he bids her farewell. She wrote him a note asking him to return home soon, which he reads while riding the bus. The truth about the Bellows family history is the subject of a story Stella writes for the school newspaper. She is adamant about telling the truth even though few people are paying attention. She then departs with Roy and Ruth, who has since recovered, with the intention of using Sarah's book to discover a means of rescuing Audie and Chuck.
Please like and subscribe, Quick Recaps, for more interesting stories and content.